folks, this is just a quick video to show you how to get paint out of an aerosol can. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, sometimes in some of the bigger cans, when you think it's finished, there's still some paint left in there, and if you've got a small project, you might want to use that. Or, in my case, I saw some colours that I really liked in the local pound shop, really inexpensive, and I wanted to use them on a project, but I knew the spray pattern was going to be too heavy and too rough. I wanted finer control, so I took the paint out of the cans and I now have it in these bottles, and I can use that in my airbrush. Now, the first step is you need to release the pressurised gas that's inside the can that acts as a propellant for the paint. Now, you could just invert the can, hold the nozzle down and spray that gas out. That should leave most of the paint behind. However, it's very time consuming. So what I prefer to do is I pierce a small hole near the top of the can and let the gas vent out. Now obviously you want to be doing that in a ventilated area, preferably outside, and you want to leave the can venting for a good length of time. I leave mine overnight outside and that works fine. After all the propellant gas has been released, or as I say, preferably overnight, you want to cut the top off the can, and you need to be a bit careful here because you're cutting into thin steel and there can be sharp edges. I use tin snip. Stout scissors will work just as good. I wouldn't however use a knife because it could slip and you're just asking for injury. Once the top of the can is cut off, the next step is to get the paint out of there and into your bottle. Now I got these bottles out of Body Care, but you can get them out of any main supermarket. They're meant for carrying shampoo, etc. when you're travelling. So just trim up the edges of the can and bend it slightly to create a pouring spout and pour it into the bottle. I've also made sure that the two agitating balls have went into the bottle too, because the paint will settle out in the bottle over time, and that will allow you to give it a little mix just before you use it. Now, if you don't let the can vent for long enough, there can still be a lot of propellant gas, even in liquid form, and this is what can happen if you don't leave that for long enough. It can basically boil up and bubble up the paint and cause a spillage. So think of it like when you shake a bottle of Coke and you open that lid, and what happens, it all fizzes up, and that's a similar thing to what's happening with the paint. There's propellant still dissolved in that paint if you don't let it vent for long enough, and as soon as you release the pressure, it allows it to turn to gas and it all bubbles up. Now, a quick note on health and safety, because there are those out there who'll say that this isn't the most safe thing to do. Well, I didn't use gloves or masks or anything like that, and you probably should, eye protection especially, because the paint could splash, but I'm still here to tell the tale. I've been doing this kind of thing for years, and that's just how I personally go about it. But I would have to recommend that you do use those safety things and take precautions. So, I hope that's been useful to some of you, and if it has, I would really appreciate it if you would hit that like button. Maybe even subscribe to the channel. We've got a lot of different projects coming up. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.